Good morning, guys. How's it going? All right, we got Noah in the chat. What's up, man? Albert. That one name that none of us understands, but wish we could. Pat Master. What's up, man? Moo Juice. Good morning, guys. Oscar. Shanti. All right. So, let's go over our last trades. I've been on a tear, like pretty big win streak, trading with Bitcoin lately with all these moves. Like I think I was like 8 or 9 trades in a row. And then the past couple trades have been pretty awkward. We had a basically 5-minute reaction based trades that we were taking here as shorts. And like this one started off strong, but then eventually became a loser if he didn't react to this. And then this one here was also an immediate losing trade. Like, let's go over the 5-minute structure really quick. We had basically the break, the full body closure acceptance below the VWAP and the acceptance below our previous levels here. It wasn't a full-on proper break of structure because we had this wick here, but they're often reclaimed, especially if we're going to be losing the VWAP with the POC on our back. So we had quite a bit of confluences telling us that we're likely going to maintain this momentum and make our way down to the value area low. But instead, we got bought up almost immediately and got stopped out on that one. And now we are range bound in the center of the valley area here. We got a little bit of double distribution in the valley area. So if we look over here to the left, you can see we have this huge spike of interest, and then we have a huge volume gap, another spike of interest. This is called double distribution. Whenever you can basically draw a B in your valley area, you got to treat it like as if there's 2 separate like key valley areas within your valley area, and price action will move quickly between them. So if we were to like box this zone, or these 2 zones, sorry, like here, let's make it white, and let's send it to back. And then we're gonna click control, click and drag, so we clone it. I won't copy the attributes, unfortunately, but it will copy your style. Right, and then we go like this. You can see a little bit more clearly that we have 2 areas of interest that kind of just bounce between each other really quickly. Like we're always going through these areas really quickly. And basically, when you get acceptance into one area, we almost always rotate to the opposite side of it, right? So right now, we're kind of trapped in one of those key areas of interest. And it looks like we're forming a potential recovery structure, but when we are waiting for that potential break to the upside, we have to be cautious of the fact that we have a volume shelf that could prevent us from going any further, just like a regular barrier that you treat it like a form of resistance. So even if we break this level right here, which would be a key level that I'd be watching if we're looking for a more of a faster paced move to the upside, there's probably, there's some front run opportunities down here. But if we want to have that continuation to the upside, we need to break this level. But we got to watch the top of this volume shelf and see how it might act as resistance, just like it has did here and multiple times in the past. So be very cautious jumping in on any longs when we're internally inside of a value area like this, because we can just as easily just like get a continuation right back down to the value area low of this range here. So that's what I'm kind of looking out for. We're kind of like in one of those zones of where it's a little awkward for trading, but yeah, we'll see what ends up happening, what kind of structure we get. But I'm hoping that we actually continue the downtrend a little further down to roughly around like 108,000 around this zone, and then maybe grab liquidity around these lows. We know we have tons of liquidity that starts below this wick right here and works its way down to here, and we have over $1 billion right below this low that has been stacking throughout this range. If we were to look at the liquidity heat maps, I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let's see. So this is the 24-hour. This is what has recently been added. Let me refresh that. Yeah, so in the 24-hour, there's more weighted liquidity above us than there is below us. But we look at the age of this range and see how the liquidity has performed throughout this range. It's been about 5 days and 25 minutes. So we will go to liquidity heat map. We want to make sure that we are able to include all that information. So we can't use the 3-day because it would leave 2 days out. But we can use the weekly because it'll be able to include all that information. And we can see that we have quite a bit of liquidity on both sides. But down here is where I was talking about, where we have like over $1 billion of liquidity kind of like resting down this zone. We have quite a bit just above us too. So if we were to look at this to help us control our bias, honestly, there's more. It looks like more weighted liquidity starting to stack above us than is below us recently. But we have some here that has been here for a little while now. So we're just going to have to bank on structure to help define the direction. And I'm hoping that if we're going to be looking at these key levels, we can use like 106.347 as a key level to prepare for reversal. So you can mark that on your chart, and you can do the same thing for these levels up here. What we have 110.873 is where the heat starts in the heat map. 873, 110.873, 106.347. So just a little bit above here. Or below, sorry. 347. Okay. And oh yeah, we already had this level marked. So right here where this previous value area low is. So we have massive amount of liquidity like sandwiched between this range. So we have two key levels that we could watch to help us prepare for potential reversals. A lot of traders with a large amount of money will use those levels to be able to enter or exit the market with the lowest amount of slippage or impact over the price. So here would be a good zone of interest to prepare for reversals, and same with down here. So if we do get that deviation away from the local valley area, you can use these levels as confluence to help you prepare for those reversals. We can mark, let's do Control J. Oh, my bad. Let me just clone it this way. That's using Photoshop rules, my bad. This is a lot less than $1 billion over here, but what would we have for that? Starts at 134 million, 131 million, 138. All right, well, we'll just go with, we'll just type in 134 million for now. It does stack to be a heck of a lot more, but that's where it begins right here. All right, so we got our two levels of key levels of interest. So when we get down there or up here, we want to prepare for a change of character occurrence after we tap those zones. Let's go back to the 15-minute. All right, here we go. All right, so Anonymous was saying we might get a 5-minute SFP on Bitcoin soon. If not, maybe an SFP at that level with the liquidity below. Yeah, down here we've got a key level of interest here. We got the key level of interest here. We can prepare for potential SFPs. This is a big zone here that I'll look out for. So you want to wait for like range bound activity close to those levels sweep the liquidity, and then close back inside that range that's created during that time. So we got a little bit of time before that occurs, but yeah, that's a good thing to prepare for, man. If you're an SFP trader, I would set an alarm. I'd use you can use a 5-minute or you can use the 15. But yeah, you can set an alarm off these bodies so you know when price action's crossing it. So you're looking at your screen when it's appropriate. So you can reduce your screen time and just look at the screen when it's actually time to prepare for the SFP. So that's what I would be doing, man. Okay, so we already got requests being thrown in. Let's see. We got people talking about French toast in here. Good stuff. Your name is Rashad. Rashad. Okay, cool. I'll remember that. Let's go to Ethereum. That's the first request. So basically, we'll be sitting ducks for a little bit on Bitcoin. Like this is a key level up here for like a strong, for a potential position of strength for like a reversal. I don't know if I'll trade it, but we know that if you're in an existing trade, like maybe you got in on like this SFP over here, then this is your area of interest for a potential continuation. So if we get that break and we get out of this, basically this volume, an area of interest here, we would likely move very quickly out if we break past this level to the next area of interest here, just like we have here, 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 all of this, right? All fast-paced moves in this little, think of it like if you drop a marble off a cliff, it just roll down through here until it gets to about here. Okay, let's pull up the Ethereum chart for who was the one that made the request? Let's see. I cannot find it. By the way, guys, if you guys send any requests out, Anonymous, okay. Sending requests out, Anonymous is the one that's gonna be like help me keep track of it, because sometimes there's so many going on at once. It's hard to keep up. Okay, so yesterday we marked this level for potential reversal, but we bounced off of the value area high, and then we got that return back up. So we're starting to use this value area as potential support, which is the start of a potential trend. So if we get the higher high up here, then that break of structure can act as a confirmation to begin a trend to the next value area. We are not there just yet, but we did break this like double bottom structure, right? Our key area of interest was here. When we broke that, we got above the VWAP. We got our internal break, change of character. And now we're coming up to a key area of interest here for a potential supply concern. So what we want to see is like acceptance inside this zone here to mitigate the risk and to give us a better chance of grabbing liquidity from these highs. Let's zoom out a little bit on this bad boy here. Yeah, okay, so previous value area high is flush with this. So the active value area high is flush with the previous point of control here. So that higher high would give us proper acceptance into this value area and give us a full rotation to its value area high, which has pretty much been like the undercut level to our resistance right now. So it might not be a very, it might not be as big of a trend-based move as we hoped, unless we get above that value area high. Yeah, that's what I mean. We could come up and pretty much hit this as like a ceiling and come right back down. So you just gotta be cautious of 2, 7, 6, 5, 8 along the way up. So that's Ethereum for us, but it does look like we might get that potential reversal, but because we're at a value area high, you should have your bias mostly synced to preparing for shorts rather than longs. But always have in mind that if we do get that higher high, the probability of a trend is much, much higher. Let's zoom in again. We have some negative space towards our momentum right here. So this could also just be the start of range-bound price action before reversing down to the value area low. I'm hoping for the continuation. Like, a lot of us are holders of Ethereum. But yeah, I'm also a trader too, so I like the opportunity to like short or long when all the rules are met, right? Okay, so that's Ethereum. What else we've got in the chat? We've got a request to look at GRT. I doubt we have a GRT chart. Is that graph? I feel like that's graph. GRT. We do have a GRT chart. The last time we looked at it was February 28th. So a very long time since we looked at GRT. I'm curious if we had any levels marked because I don't remember trading it even if I was asked to look at it. Let's zoom out on the hourly. Actually, let's go with the daily if it's been that long. Okay. So we might have to redo some of this chart. So we broke a macro downtrending level here. Had a really decent run up. My key level that I had marked is in green instead of orange, so it's been a while. Yeah, I started doing like the orange lines like not too long ago. So yeah, so we broke the key level of interest while simultaneously breaking down trending momentum. We had a decent run up, but we failed to get like that proper acceptance into this value area, which is like more of a macro level. There's a couple ways that this value area pull can actually be improved. I can probably delete that. Let's actually redo this whole entire chart together. Press Control, delete. Okay. We're on log. Okay, we're on logarithmic. So we got our momentum here that broke. We built a value area here. We should pull. That's not perfectly drawn. There we go. Let's draw our supply risk here. One thing I'm nervous about with GRT based on the structural behavior is its tokenomics. So we should probably look at the tokenomics for GRT and see if it's been inflated. We recently broke this downtrending momentum. We got an inverse head and shoulder structure on the daily. We're currently calling up for a potential continuation. So let's draw our daily levels here. Actually, just draw that through market structure. Our measurable base target for this level, and we're still about halfway away from hitting the actual measurable base target for this structure. Got a previous value area high here. There we go. Supply risk right here. We're just tapping that now. Get the confluence of the previous value area low alongside that, so we don't need to really mark or box it. And we do have a level here that, if met, we gotta worry about it. Visual order, send it back. There we go. Let's zoom in a little bit on the 4 hour. For our change of character occurrence here. So the 4 hour went bearish. The daily still bullish. Pull a fixed range from here to here. We got a potential downtrending point of interest. So we want to watch on GRT's order books to see if there's sell orders here. If we see a large amount of sell orders there, then it's telling us that there's trade participants still honoring this level. When you have 2 touch points, it's important to make sure you watch the order books to validate your trend line and see if there's trade participants behaving off of it. Mark your value area low, your value area high, and all that fun stuff. Control, click, drag. Okay, and your POC. It's a relatively decently strong POC. We currently have the point of control on our back. So the probability of getting like that continuation is a little bit higher. Let's get the POC drawn. There we go. Now zoom in a little bit further. Now we're on the hourly. We're getting a bit of a squeeze right now for GRT, and that reset compression can allow to stabilize the price action for that continuation. So if we just break this local high with the full body candle close, then our probability of continuation is going to be much higher. We have been kind of like compressed down from the supply risk here. So basically, there was very likely residual sell orders due to this supply concern. Whenever you see an impulse move like this, a little bit of a base, and then another fast move down, you got to treat these little zones as supply concerns, where there could be sellers still waiting to try to get out. So whenever you find them, you kind of just want to box those zones and treat them as resistance. So here, you can see that we kind of like mitigated about half of it already. So when we get past that level, we could treat this little remaining half here as a potential area of concern. But we have enough, if we break volume trends, then we're more likely to just break right through it and then get to the other side of the value area. Just remember, the value area gets undercut over time. The longer it takes for us to get up for GRT, because of this downtrending momentum, that there could be a sell wall basically undercutting the value area high. So right now you're fine, right? But as time progresses, it'll look more like this, right? So you gotta visualize that pathing that could halt the price action from continuing to go up further and compress it, the price action against the value area low, which seems to be like a stable level of support right now. Well, that's GRT right now. It looks like it's trying to coil up for a continuation for the, since we broke momentum with an inverse head and shoulders, that kind of momentum usually gives a really decent move. And right now it's targeting around 16.9 cents, which is also into another area of interest for a potential supply concern. We have momentum now guiding us on the way up, so we can see the pace of the buyers right here. So eventually, if the pace of the buyers here meet with the pace of the sellers here, it could create an apex point where it'll induce a large amount of volume. But normally in crypto, we're usually break out 30% prior to an apex. And you could backtest the crap out of that, and I'll tell you it's almost always the case. Watch 30% prior to the apex. We normally have our breakout. Like, crypto is it's been labeled an impatient space. In my opinion, that's the reason why. It tends to move way before we'd anticipate the squeeze event to get to its apex. All right. Are you saying volume, please? As in, like, you want volume in the markets, or my volume on my mic not working out very well? So we got our next request. What indicator are you testing at the bottom, Kyle? That MACD. Oh, this guy. This is called the squeeze momentum indicator. What it technically does is it creates a metric based off of using the Bollinger Bands and defines when we're kind of oversold or overbought. It basically shows you the momentum of sellers and the momentum of buyers. So you can build rules. Let me just pull this up so it's a little bit bigger. So you can build rules off of this thing where, let's say, for example, we are about to break to the upside, right? We get that break, and then it shifts from red to green. So you can have rules saying, I will not enter long unless we just shifted from red to green, right? And the cool thing about this is it also tracks the pace of the momentum. So once it starts going like a darker green or darker red, it's telling you that the pace of that volume is starting to dwindle, and we're more likely to start a reversal in confluence with any like key levels that you're looking at. So I tested this thing out like quite a bit in the past. It's actually one of the most favorited indicators in all of TradingView. Let me try to look it up for you. It's squeeze momentum indicator by Lazy Bear. It has 95.7K favorite users. So that's, I think it is either the most used or the most favorited, at least. It's really easy to build rules off of. You can see, for example, here when price action came up, right? And then right here is where the momentum indicator suggested that the pace of the buyers have kind of like shifted, and we might start a rotation down, and we did very shortly afterwards. And then right here is when it turned red at a value area high, so you could use that in confluence with a potential short. And then from here to about here is where it suggested that the pace of the sellers have like kind of reduced, and we can see we kind of went range bound after that. And yeah, so it's kind of a decent indicator. I'd recommend, if you're going to use it, that you don't sync it to your time frame perfectly, that you have it synced to a time frame that is 4 times greater than the one you're using. So if you're using the 15-minute time frame, try syncing this to the hourly, or if you're on the 5-minute time frame, try syncing it to the 15-minute. Think of it in multiples of 4s, just like the stochastic RSI. If you're using the stochastic RSI, and like especially for scalping, you want to try to have it sync with like a time frame 4 times greater to dramatically improve its accuracy. So I hope that helps you out. Like, I don't use this very often, but I was trying to build a mechanical based strategy that was very easy for people to follow if you're like a beginner. I'm always trying to make beginner friendly strategies, so even the little guy that's just figuring this stuff out can make money while they're trying to learn maybe a more complex strategy. Mark saying Lazy Bear has amazing indicators. He does. Yeah, he has some of the best indicators out there. Okay, so Solana and Hype are our next little requests. Bitcoin is just chilling. Nothing we can take action on right now. Let's go over to Solana for you guys there. And May 27th, so we looked at this yesterday. What were we looking at yesterday? Oh yeah, Solana is like giving us some crazy good SFPs lately. Oh man, another one just happened too. So yeah, Solana, yesterday we were talking about, I'm not sure if we talked about it during the live, but I'm pretty sure we were talking about it during our trade hunting call. We were like waiting for that SFP to sweep up this liquidity here. We got one locally right here, right? And then if you kept your stop loss there, you would have been able to hold this long, like short from this moment, from this candle close. You'd be very mindful of like this local low and this local low here, but once you break past them, man, they can hold these usually to the other side of the value area. But we're currently getting a bounce off our 618, pulled from this low to this high, so we need to update that a bit. But yeah, so it's coincidental. But yeah, we have an SFP that occurred down here after that bounce. Right, there's our SFP. Swept liquidity from the newly added funds, and you'd be targeting this high while being cautious of this high in an SFP like that. So we just hit that key area of interest now. So we might just continue our overall downtrend now that we're starting to get that rejection. We got an engulfing response in the 15-minute right after like trying to get above the VWAP and kind of failing. So we might get that rotation down to the POC. So if you, I'm not sure if any of you guys jumped in the short yesterday when we were in that conversation, but congrats if you did, because that so far is doing really, really well. We did just break momentum, but things could shift and change. Yeah, I'd prefer if we're going to jump in on a momentum break that it happens near the value area low. We can delete that. We don't need that. Actually, I think we do. Let's pull up that pivot retracement from this low to this high right here. And okay, yeah. So yeah, down here, there's a key area of interest for potential reversal. It's inside of our value area low. So when you're using fibs, one good rule of thumb is to wait for an opposing change of character within it. And if you have backings of like a buy wall or a sell wall inside of these key areas of interest, so in this case a buy wall, then you can use that in confluence as well as any order blocks as well. So around here would be a good area of interest to prepare for potential longs for Solana, around 167.58. We can update our fixed range pull and see how it could evolve the value area low a little bit. Yeah, and tighten down the value area high. Okay, so yeah, it's more of like a waiting game here. It does look like we might be building a potential ascending channel. If we were to like maintain this support, it could come back up to these levels. So just watch for this, the key level that we just got a rejection off of. If we were to bounce off the support and break that neckline, then that double bottom structure could define a reversal back up to these value highs. So that's just the one thing I'd look out for if we could find like potential buyers protecting this uptrending point of interest. We can mark that with a trend line. So if you're in the short, hope for the break here. That break of structure could bring us right back down to the point of control. And losing the point of control would bring us to the value low. So we just looked at Solana, we looked at Ethereum. If we look at ALU, Ultra, what is that? ALU. That might be one I haven't heard of. Let's look at it on KuCoin. It's easy to get listed there, so it might have the most data. And we're in a pretty stable range right now. Let's zoom out. Let's go to daily quick. Okay, so this might not be the whole history of the asset. Let's see if we can find. Okay, so there's more data on the Philonex chart, so this makes a lot more sense. Okay, but this price action's wildly. Let me take a look at 15. Yeah, this isn't right. All right, we're going to KuCoin. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the asset you want me to look at, but yeah, we broke this downtrending momentum. We had a decent spike from that break of momentum, but it was pretty short-lived. Yeah, we hit this local resistance and it came right back down. We're now down back at a potential forming shoulder. Let's get the 4-hour out. And this is not something I would trade, man. Well, we have so right now we're inside of a value area where we're kind of going range bound. So we can anticipate potential shorts here if it maintained this range, but if we end up using the range as a form of support with a break of structure, we can drive up with the continuation. So we're basically fighting against the supply concern right here with this range. We're trying to like fully mitigate it. So we want to bank on that break of structure so we know that there's no sellers that are inducing a reversal. And then I would be targeting this local high right here. Mark your value area low because that'll be your key barrier that needs to be broken. But once that breaks, then you can see a potential continuation to the top side of that value area. But that is ALU or Altura. I never heard of this one yet. I thought I'd do some research on it. But yeah, unless we get that break structure above the value area high, I'll be preparing for shorts. So look for the opposing change of character occurrence and then target the value area low. The point of control here is pretty strong, so make sure you're keeping an eye out on that point of control along the way down too. If you get the opposing change of character at the point of control, I'll think about taking some off the table. So I hope that helps you out. Let's go to Bitcoin, zoom in. Hype was the other request. Let's take a look at hype. Okay. Bitcoin's still just chilling, doing its thing. We looked at hype a couple days ago. We're talking about hype dropping down to these levels last time we talked about it. We are basically building like the head and shoulders kind of behavior right here, right? And it just defined a potential correction down to this location if it were to confirm as resistance. And we got the resistance here, and then we drove right down to that target very shortly after. After we hit the target, we broke momentum, but we still ended up coming down further from this bear flag structure. It's like basically, bear flags provide a lot of exhaustion in the market. So when you see something uptrending like this, what's happening to your oscillators? They're usually rotating to exhaustion, and you're stacking liquidity below each low and taking liquidity from each high. So the probability of going down is dramatically higher because of that kind of posture. And that's what happened right here to drive that continuation down. But you always target where the liquidity basically ends, right? So we have liquidity here, here, and here. So you target down here, but also be mindful of potential local support that could induce a reversal. So you target here. That target was just recently hit for that continuation down. So let's see, let me just get rid of this noise, sorry. So we can delete this orange line now. It served its purpose already. We don't want to confuse us in the future. We are now getting acceptance into this value area here. We got a volume shelf here marked. That's why I have this green line is set as local support, because this could have been an area of concern. So we're fighting this as like we're getting a little battle against it, trying to get acceptance into this area of interest right here. And once we do, we should get a rotation down to the point of control relatively quickly. That point of control, I'm seeing some confluence there for potential residual buyers. Looks like we have an order block there. Let me get the order block indicator out so you guys can see it. Where art thou? There we go. Mine takes a little bit of time to load. There's quite a bit to it. All right, we have one that's populating on the indicator here. But there was one here on the 15, or on the 30, sorry. So I'd still be watching this point of control along the way down. Right here. Price POC. What we want to see in order to get that continuation is just a, see, structurally, yeah, break of this low. I'm going to break that low. We'll go down to the POC. If we break back to the POC, we'll be going down to the previous value area low here. Around here is where I would prepare for potential longs for Hyperliquid. If we get the change of character here, yeah, definitely would be preparing for longs for Hyperliquid, and then I would start targeting the active value area high again up here. So from here to here will be your pathing target. Let's see, we got this momentum shifted, so we can go from here to here. Momentum's a good guide of pace. So if we maintain this pace, it'd be a very, very boring market for Hyperliquid. So I'm hoping that we get the evolving momentum and we drive down here within the next 20 hours. We'll be at the bottom. However, if we don't get the evolving momentum, it could take much longer. We can see it take as long as 4 days, but I don't think it'll take that long. But sometimes the market likes to surprise us with awkward stuff like that. But yeah, Hyperliquid's just trying to go range bound after having like a pretty aggressive pump to $40. So this is healthy. The longer we're up here for Hyperliquid, the better. So we can get that proper reset. Allow people who are taking profits to take profits and new investors to come in to help stabilize the price for a potential continuation up. Or we could be preparing for a potential warning sign of distribution of funds. So people could be selling, right? We're getting a higher high. If we fail to create that higher high, then we can get that like head and shoulders posture, and that can induce a drop like much, much lower. Like if we were to visualize that pathing, if it were to occur, like say we came down, we bounced off here like we were anticipating already, right? Then we hit the value area high as resistance. Then at that point, we could be building a structure and warning us that the sell pressure might be too strong. And if momentum were to be maintained, then we could fall back down to this value area here. We got a little bit of a demand zone here that we can watch out for along the way down. But other than that, all we got left is basically this little guy here. So those will be our two areas of concern along the way down if we're jumping on any shorts. But that pathing is like, yeah, this is like trying to see the future, right? All you can do is visualize what could occur, but don't try to take action on what you think could occur. Take action on what is occurring, right? So if we get that change of character occurrence, we can jump in along. If we get the opposing change of character here, we can jump into a short. This could be a front run to a potential head and shoulders if that were to form that way. All right, so that's hype. I hope that helps you out. We're getting close to breaking that low. You know, we're about 11 minutes away from confirming a full body closure above this key level. And if we get it, that full body close below this level, then our probability of at least hitting the POC will be really, really high. But if it ends up becoming a wick instead, then we could get just a return back up here again and maintain this little micro range. Yeah, a lot of assets are looking a lot like Bitcoin right now. They're just coiling in an awkward spot. Okay. AVAX, please. Yeah, we can do AVAX. Andrew's saying he uses Lazy Bear WT Cross LB instead of Market Cipher, trying to remember what his book was called. Okay. I thought you said blood, boot, like, yeah. Okay, so yeah, what his book is called? I'm not sure. Mastering the Trade by John Carter, I believe that's Lazy Bear. Really? That's Lazy Bear? I didn't know that. I'll look into that. That's cool. Any good reads I'd recommend for traders? I would recommend reading Trader's Edge by Mark Douglas. That one will be good for helping you with your mindset and risk management. A lot of people are in a rush to make money all the time, You gotta slow down and figure out your edge first before you try to jump into this kind of stuff. So Andrew closest short at 174. Okay, you're probably talking about Solana. Yeah. So you closed yours as a result to the SFP. That's a good idea, man. And always we also broke momentum too. Yeah, lots of reasons to get out there. Yeah. Yeah, you might be kicking yourself a little bit if we get that breakdown here. But if you have exit criteria, you stick to your exit criteria, right? You got the path that you wanted to capture, and there'll be an opportunity down here potentially. Okay, so what was the request I was just looking at? So we went through Solana, Hype, we went through Ethereum, Bitcoin. Oh yeah, it was AVAX. Yeah, we're looking at AVAX. May 22nd was the last time we looked at AVAX. What were we looking at? We were looking at potential short here, but I've got a feeling that, yeah, so we'd have a lot better of an entry than way down here. This is price progressed from that point of interest. So this is what we're looking at for a potential short at that time. But yeah, this would have been our next key area of interest right here. So we had a much better opportunity at this point, because that never confirmed, right? These never confirmed for a break, so we never confirmed a reversal at that point. And then we got the change of character occurrence here, but it was really aggressive. So getting in on it might not have been easy. This is the 15-minute time frame. We have, oh, at that point though, we did hit a falling wedge target. And this was our like key level we wanted to make sure broke to like confirm that we're very likely going to hit that target. And we got that target hit. You got the opposing change of character against the target and the value area high. You'd watch the value area low for potential acceptance. We got a big bounce off of it, but very shortly afterwards came right back down to where we started. And now this is where we are. We are at this uptrending momentum here that's been holding AVAX up since $15. So this is almost like a legacy level. Let's delete that. We could delete this. We don't need that. No, might as well keep this local resistance level marked. I don't know what this is about. Yeah, so AVAX is at a very important uptrending point of interest, like super important. So if broken, this would induce a stupid amount of volume to the downside. So watch this level like a hawk. Treat this almost like you would treat the Bitcoin legacy support, because if it's lost, then yeah, AVAX could go on a really bad downtrend. But here, right now, we're coiling up into this range bound price action here. Kind of similar. I don't know what asset we were looking at before that reminds me of this, but oh yeah, it was that low market cap token, ALU, I believe. Yeah, if we get a bounce here, to break a structure for continuation, we could leave that range. You could treat it like a flag. So unfortunately, the flag momentum on this is really kind of poor. It's not that great. It gives us a target to like 2450, but that target would get us inside that value area again. So we might get a rotation back up. But this value area is aggressive. Like when we move between the value area highs and the lows, it's really wild. Just like when we got through here, right? So if we get in this zone, you can anticipate that kind of volume or interest that could drive it right back up higher. So this could just help us get there to allow us to have that fast-paced move back up to 25.75. But yeah, if we lose the value area low instead, we see that act as resistance, then be watching this uptrending area of interest. This is going to be a level that you should set alarms off of. Actually, I'll do that right now. Because if we get that opposing change of character off this area of interest, then it normally would lead to a good trade. All right, my alarm's set. All right, cool. Yeah, nothing to take action on right now, but if we might get like a low, this is like a low time frame range. You could only probably use like the 5 or 3 minute on this. Yeah, like 5 or 3 minute structure can help you trade this internal range. Anything higher than that, you're gonna get your like confirmations. By the time you're at, yeah, your confirmations on like something like the 15-minute time frame would be internally close to your target. So you have to zoom in until 5 minutes to be able to trade this bad boy inside this range. So if we maintain this range, then you can keep scalping it as much as you can. But yeah, right now we just got like a 5 minute change character occurrence here. It's really low, so you couldn't trade that anyways unless you were had a different set of rules for your entry criteria at the top. Well, yeah, down here I'll be preparing for potential longs, but if we fail with the break of structure to the downside, then prepare for 22.75. Yeah, Bitcoin's still just chilling. Morning, Kyle. Can you take a look at VeChain? I sent you a chart and the Ask Kyle chat looks good on the weekly. Yeah, VeChain's like, I haven't looked at VeChain in a while. Oh, we don't have a VeChain chart, really? Okay. I used to be a big holder of VeChain back in like 2020. Binance. Okay, so you want me to look at the weekly? What's going on the weekly? Got that weekly S&P coiling between the 200 and the 50 EMAs. It's kind of awkward. We should pull a fib from this high to this low. So this is more of a macro area of interest for a potential reversal in with the Fibonacci pull. Let's see, let's zoom in a little bit on the, it's such an awkward form of price action, eh? It's like in a broadening wedge. So like the interest is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? These two, they do normally break to the downside, but their targets are really boring. Let's see, for the hourly. Just marking the previous value area here. So you can see that we're kind of behaving off of it. Going to help us assist us with our trades. We're kind of building a little bit of a bear flag right now. We're trying to claim support off of the 50-day EMA, but it looks like it's getting its butt kicked. We have this little supply concern here that's been completely mitigated. So luckily, the next time we come up here, it should be relatively weak. We got potential liquidity stacking just above this wick here. Looks like I'm coming area of interest for liquidity, where this is the uptrending support that's compressed against that. So we got like this ascending triangle. These are typically bearish. They're statistically are more likely to break to the downside. You want to have like draw like two targets with these based on their momentum. One being at the bottom of the area of where support kind of began, where liquidity ends, right? And a less conservative one based on momentum. So you place the mast on top of the last area we tested before we broke, and it'll give you like a more faster paced break to more faster paced base target. So watch for potential continuations. Basically, if we break below that previous value area low where the liquidity ends on this ascending triangle, and target this area of interest here. So mark this zone with a triangle or a rectangle, sorry, and just watch for potential reversals off of this. So this be just your key area of interest for a change of character occurrence to potentially warn you to get out of your position. But that's if it fails. We are building a descending channel, which normally provides a continuation up. So we need to break this level first if we're going to be able to assume that this downtrend momentum could break. We're also fighting against the 200 EMA, so we have some confluence here that could drive the price down. That's what I'll be looking for short term. Zoom in on Bitcoin. Do we get that? Yeah, we're getting a little bit of a break to the downside here. We need to destroy these lows here in order for us to get that rotation to the value low. Because I want to be down here so I can prepare for an actual trade. Like, I don't want to trade inside that mess. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I'd rather be trading longs at my value area low, not inside the value area. Okay. Oh, Trading the Zone by Mark Douglas. Yeah, that's a good one. It's a book to read every year or two, yeah. They have, if you guys want to look for it later, there's a audiobook on YouTube for it too. Just hop in. Did we do a virtual already? We can look at virtual. Virtuals on the 27th, so we looked at it yesterday. We were talking about a short yesterday. Yeah, from this high here to the value area low, bounced off the value area low. Wait for my computer to catch up to me. I think I just got too many tabs. Yeah, all right, there we go. All right, but now we're up here. So yeah, we had that short that we were talking about the other day. We came down, hit the value area high, which is the area of concern that we're looking at. We got the break here. So this is what I'm talking about all the time. If we get the higher high, that could induce a break of structure to allow us to break to the upside. And when we were talking about virtuals yesterday, I was talking about the fact that, like, since we're in a rising wedge, it's always awkward to try to trade them. So if you didn't get in on the confirmation down here that we're reversing, right? We got the inverse head and shoulders bounce. Your first initial target would be these highs, right? Because you got to assume it as resistance first before assuming that we'll break through it. And then we hit that area of, normally we'd hit the area of interest and induce like a double top or something like that, right? With all that confluence for a short. But you always got to prepare for the potential break of structure for continuation for that trend-based move. And it happening alongside a rising wedge is usually awkward, but by just being aware of the market structure and waiting for that break of structure, it helps as a guide in knowing how to like manage your risk and how to like prepare for that continuation. Now we're at, let me undo that. Now we're at that supply concern that we marked up here, which comes from way over here. Oh, this is one of those situations where virtuals is pretty close to its final boss, right? Like we got a couple areas of interest like here and here at $3.18 and at $4.12. But this is kind of like the final boss before we end up getting those like wild moves again for virtuals. So we just need to mitigate that supply concern. Right now, it looks like we're getting like a head and shoulders vibe. Same thing here, but inverse, right? Yeah, setting support. Let's zoom in on the 15-minute. It's going to give us a clearer picture. Let's draw. We have uptrending support. We have a little demand zone here. Not a very strong one. Pretty weak one, but it's enough to hold the support right now. So if we get that double bottom, it's not like an opposing change of character or anything because it's ascending. But if we get that double bottom, if we could get acceptance back inside of this range and then just go range bound here for a little bit, which would be healthier for virtuals if you want to have that continuation. But chipping away at the supply will make it easier for us to come back and break through it next time. But if we get that, we got a pullback here. So if we get that lower low, we're basically confirming this level as a form of resistance, and we could drive the price down based on the current momentum right down to where we had that previous break of structure. So this recent high would be targeted as a key area of interest for a potential reversal and target for this head and shoulders. So yeah, the stars are kind of aligning for a drop right now for virtuals short term, but we might get that reversal here. And formation traders would just see that as potential confirmation off of the level, right? So we're looking at this rising wedge. They'd see it as potential confirmation of support for a continuation up. But structurally, it's all kind of the same, right? So we just got to get that break of structure here. So let's just change our orange level. So we had this for this last short, right? Now we got it here. So we want to have a full body candle close below $2.36.9. So got to get that full body close. And then you can use the VWAP alongside with the local high here as your stop loss guard. And the R&R on something like that would be close to a 1 to 2.5, it looks like. 1 to 2.5. So short here to here. 1 to 2. Nothing crazy. 1 to 2.1. But still proper risk to reward ratio. All right, so that is virtuals. I hope that helps you out. But that's how I'd be preparing for that. But again, if we get that acceptance up here, just prepare for it to go range bound. So we'll likely just get that return to the value area high. But we have the VWAP right in our face, so we might have that confluence break with VWAP. But that's not something you'd probably want to long anyways. Even if you know it's going to go up, doesn't mean you should take the trade, because if the R&R is not there, you shouldn't touch it. But yeah, that break of structure would also help validate an escape of the value area. Bitcoin just chilling. Out of everything we looked at so far, though, virtuals is the most picture-perfect structure for a trade today. So if you're someone like me that likes to skim through all their favorite assets, and you were to only pick one trade out of all the ones we looked at so far, this is the only trade that I would take out of everything we've seen. We have some positioning potentially available for a return, but we gotta wait. We gotta be really patient for that kind of setup. John Foster, no, thanks for the tip, man. Can we look at Trump? Yeah, the token, right? We don't have a chart for Trump, but we can look it up. Trump was one of those, that token, I think it was like a week 1 or week 2. I was screaming through the rooftops not to buy it because of the ownership concerns I had with it. And we've been on a downtrend ever since we talked about that. But we finally stabilized support here. We got that double bottom structure. We the break here, and it's the daily. So if we looked at this in lower time frames, we'd see a good break of structure here for a stop loss guard. Would you think that it would go this high? Probably not. You'd be looking at the supply concern thinking that we could just hit that, but we ended up getting above it, and now we're kind of coiling inside this ascending pennant. Let's get the 4 hour out. Let's see. 1478 is a key area of interest. So we got this orange line here. Looks like we still have a level marked, preparing for a potential long. We have from this high to this. Okay, we can delete that. We don't need that anymore. Yeah, so we're getting like squeezed right now for the Trump token. So right now we're bouncing off of the 50-day EMA. We just wicked off of this uptrending area of interest. This is the ascending triangle support. And we're flush with the 50 EMA. The valley area low of this previous valley area here that we got acceptance into. We're currently honoring the valley area low as support. We kind of got like a Wyckoff vibes here. We just need to, break this local high in order for us to have that position of strength, knowing that we're likely going to trend to the opposite side of the valley area, or the opposite side of the structure, sorry. A lot of the moves are quick through here. We can actually draw a fixed range from here to here and see things a little more clearly. We can delete this now that we have the value area high flush with that area of interest. So we have more local reasoning to prepare. So value area high here. And if you're trading internal value areas inside of a macro value area, make sure I always forget to do this, but make sure you mark your value area highs as like a macro value area high or a macro value area low. I put like a lowercase m to define that. I'm just going to take that local one and just use it for my macro one since they're pretty close to each other. Right? And all the previous POCs are flush with the active one too. So we can just take this information and just change it to here. So we have more of a macro look here. Okay, so I hope that helps you out. But basically what we're looking for is if you want to be getting in on a position of strength, you can find front run opportunities down here, right? A break momentum, lower time frame, like 15-minute change of character occurrence, right? But then you'd be watching this as a barrier concern. But if we break it, we would have a 4-hour change of character that could induce a move to the opposite side of the more macro valley area up here. We do have a couple of supply concerns along the way up, but they don't look too strong. But here, you'd watch this. We tapped into it already a little bit. We want to watch the highs of this location, not the lows. The highs up here, and then you want to watch this area here as well. So we got 3 little miniature concerns along the way up, but all I can see it doing is just slowing it down as we wait for us to hit the value high. And that kind of percentage-based move is actually pretty decent. From here to here, it's like 12%. So if you can even capture just half of that, you'll be doing a good job. Just be careful trading this. It does like to disrespect market structure sometimes. Like here's an example right here. This crazy wick that was about 4.9% on a 90-minute chart. So just watch out for. Make sure you use your stop losses. Is all I'm trying to say. Just be careful trading this thing. I hope that helps you out. Let's go back to Bitcoin. It's just we're starting to break out of that little area of interest. Maybe we'll come down to that value area low, so which means virtuals does have some pairing liquidity. Yeah, so we might see that break come soon. Trade hunting call today. Oh crap. Okay, I gotta go. Thanks, Oscar. All right, I gotta go. yeah, I got to do a trade hunting call with the community. I got so in the zone that I just completely forgot about my actual responsibilities. So I'll talk to you guys later. Yeah, I'll see you in tomorrow's live. I got to jump in with the community, and yeah, we're doing trade hunting together. I'll see you guys. Have a great day. Bye.